Hari Om, everybody. Thank you, Pandit Ian, for having me here. Thank you all for having me here. I'm really sorry Swamiji couldn't be here. I mean, I would have been more happy if Swamiji was here, but he had to go to town, so satsang will continue anyways. Okay, let us start with a short opening prayer. Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Puranamunina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambadvamanusandathami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullara Vindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vedraika Parnaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamritaduhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavo Dukha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsasudhir Bhokta Duktham Gitamritam Mahad Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Hari Om. Okay. Can you all hear me okay? Imagine I had a canvas. You know the canvas they paint on? I had a canvas right here, up in the front. And it had a painting of a sunset or sunrise. You know, you could never know which one it is. So it has a painting of, let's say, a sunset. Now you walk in and you say, wow, what a beautiful sunset. Who painted it? And I look at you and I say, nobody painted it. What do you mean? And you say, no, but it's a painting. Someone must have painted it, correct? If there's a painting of a sunset. And I say, no. Actually, you know what happened? This canvas, it was on the ground. And right next to it, there were some cans of paint. And somebody came and by mistake they knocked the paint over, and that is how this sunset came. You will believe me? Who will believe me? Okay, let us say by some weird stroke of luck that thing actually went and it became a sunset like that. Very hard to imagine, but just for argument's sake. But now, if on that canvas you see a person and that person is doing puja and you see Bhagavan in front of him, now you can say, by some potential stroke of luck, that can might have knocked over and become a sunset and painted this canvas? I'm asking a question. Possible or not? Is it a hard question? Nobody is answering. Possible, yes or no? No, not possible. If you see a painting and it has beauty and intelligence, then it means somebody must have painted it. That is the logical conclusion there. Or, so many people are watching these 108 nights from all over the world, and they're seeing all of these beautiful mandirs in Guyana. So now they come and they see this Niksev ashram sang. And they asked, who built this mandir? Who built this ashram? And I say, no, nobody. When they came, they just put the bricks, and the bricks kind of fixed themselves like that. That thing sounds like madness, isn't it? Because where there is intelligence, it doesn't exist in the bricks. Some being would have been there who would have thought about it and put it together and made it like this. Correct or wrong? Okay. We are very aware of the fact that intelligence doesn't just live in things in this world. Okay? It has to exist in a being. A person has to be the one who has the intelligence with which intelligence is manifested with all these inner things around us. Where did that intelligence come from? Someone might say, well, I have my own intelligence. But you made your intelligence? Can anybody say, I made my intelligence? They will have to be crazy to say that. Intelligence existed before we came here. So we cannot be the source of our intelligence. So then the question will be, well, what is the source? Or rather, the correct thing is, who is the source of the intelligence that we see in this universe? And the answer that is given is God. Correct? God. Who is God? If you ask every single person here today, you might get, say there's like 50 different answers. Correct? Who is God? Everyone will have their own answer. And they will all be correct in their own way also. That is the beauty of our Sanatana Dharma. But then no. But who exactly is God? Everyone has an idea of God, but who exactly is this God? Well, in Bhagavad Gita, which we are studying over these 108 nights, in the section that we're in right now, chapters 7 to 12, Bhagavan Sri Krishna himself answers this question of who exactly is God. We all suppose, but he actually tells us who is God. And he doesn't talk about himself and say, well, one of you was right. He talks about God from every point of view in these 6 chapters. He talks about himself as what we know of God with form, like Sri Krishna, Lord Shiva, Devi, etc. He also talks about himself as this whole universe which we see in front of us, which means he himself has become, he said he has become the space and the air and the water and the fire and the earth, and he has become all of these things in the universe. So he is this whole universe in front of us. And beyond that, he is also the formless substratum upon which this whole universe exists. Like Swamiji was saying yesterday, the screen because of which the whole movie is playing. So he talks about himself from all of these points of view. Now someone might ask, wait. But what exactly is the importance of knowing God? I mean, we're talking about God because this is the section in Gita where God comes up. But is it actually important to know who God is? Someone might say, hey, don't ask that question. God will get angry. God is not going to get angry. He wants us to ask that question. In our tradition, we are encouraged to ask questions, right? So now the question is, what is the importance of knowing God? Well, let me tell you what Bhagavan Sri Krishna has said in these past few verses. Or well, implied. You see, there's only one thing in this universe that is infinite. And there's only one thing in this universe that is not changing, that is permanent. And that is what we call God. Now, why is it important? See, everybody here wakes up in the morning looking for some kind of happiness or the other, correct? I mean, you call it whatever you call it. That first sip feeling, people say, right? I want coffee. And why do I want coffee? That's going to give me happiness. I want to press the snooze button. Why? Because that is going to give me 5 minutes of happiness. Every single thing that we do is to get happiness. Now, what kind of happiness are we looking for? Are we looking for the kind of happiness that is going to end, or the kind of happiness that is going to last forever? If you had the choice, which one would you choose? Well, forever. Infinite happiness is what we're looking for. Then, can something finite give you something infinite? This is a math question, actually. Can something finite, finite plus finite plus finite plus finite, can that equal infinite? Mathematically, impossible. Then, we want happiness that is permanent, that is not changing. Not today I don't want a little bit of happiness today, then a pause, then a little bit of happiness tomorrow. I want happiness that is not changing. Permanent happiness is what I want. Can something changing give you something permanent? Not possible. So, if what I want is infinite and unchanging, and the only one thing in this universe that is infinite and unchanging is God, then what do I really want? Really, without me knowing or understanding, or maybe even being ready to admit, what I really want is God. We just don't know, right? Now, there's a cost of not knowing things. Like, if you didn't know that another person in your house went and plugged the iron, and the iron is very hot, it's on like the full highest setting, and you go now to iron a beautiful new cloth that you got for the altar, and you take that iron and you plug it in and you put it on that thin cloth, what will happen? That thing, well, how sad, brand new cloth, and it burned. What is the consequence of not knowing? What is the cost of not knowing? Well, I lost a beautiful cloth that I wanted to offer to Bhagavan. Do you know that aluminium is toxic? Is it aluminium or aluminum here? Huh? However, we grew up saying aluminium, okay? Aluminium is toxic, meaning it makes you sick over a long period of time. It is not good for the body. What is the main material of the majority of pots that you find in the kitchen? Aluminium. So now we take that hard stainless steel spoon and we mix that curry, and it is scraping the pot as we mix it. And that thing over years and years and years and years goes into the food that we're eating. And we eat it without knowing. What is the cost of that? Unexplained health issues that we're getting, and we're like, but I didn't do anything wrong, but I eat so healthy, but why is Bhagavan punishing me? And the cost of not knowing, it has to come out somewhere in our health, isn't it? So that cost is a more long-term cost than burning something. What is the cost of not knowing God? Bhagavan said just now in this chapter 9 where we were in, actually the cost of not knowing God is guaranteed sorrow. Guaranteed sorrow. And that sorrow feels infinite, and it feels like it is not going to change. That is the sorrow that we feel. Now, that means if you have sorrow in your life, the logical, the corollary of that is you don't really fully know God yet. I'm not saying this, huh? This is Bhagavan saying, and I'm just sharing reflections on that. So, the importance of knowing who God is that it removes the sorrow from our life that we don't want. Anybody here want sorrow? Swamiji asks often, you came here to get sorrow tonight? No. We want happiness. Okay. So now, we're studying chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita. And in the first 10 verses, Bhagavan Sri Krishna talked about his nature. Then, he talks about how he is the cause of this whole universe. Means everything that we see manifest in front of us is because of Bhagavan. So he talks about his existence in multiple ways. But there are some people who just don't want to admit that there is a necessity of an intelligent being in this universe. Correct or wrong? One young guy saw his neighbor, who was an older uncle, get up every single morning and offer dar to Surya Bhagavan and say a few mantras, pray to Bhagavan, and then go back in and start his day. Every single day, he would be there before the sun rises. He would be there to welcome Surya Bhagavan, and he would say his prayers. 10 minutes it would take, but he would do it every single day. Now this young guy, you know how young people, they don't know when to sleep, when to wake up. So sometimes he's awake, he not yet slept, kind of awake, when this uncle gets up to offer this dar and pray to Bhagavan. So one day he went out and he said, Uncle, you know what? You're wasting your time. God doesn't exist. You're wasting your time. Why don't you just go and save yourself all the effort of getting up and spending 10 minutes every single day coming and doing this thing? And uncle looked at him and he said, Beta, look, if God doesn't exist, you know how uncles are way more intelligent than the young ones, right? If God doesn't exist, then I would have wasted 10 minutes of my life every single day praying to somebody who doesn't exist. But if God exists, well, you wasted your whole life. So I'm okay wasting my 10 minutes. Smart answer or not? I think such a smart answer. Anyway, now Bhagavan talks about those people who don't accept his existence, because there will be all kinds of people in this world, right? So let us see now. Bhagavan talks about them. This is in verse 11 and 12 of chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita. So I will sing Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, and then you will repeat, and then I will chant the verse, and then you will continue to sing Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Yeah? Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, Avajananti ma murhaha. Ignorant, deluded people, they disregard me. They just not just don't know me, they disregard me. Wahu, me who is manushim tanumashritam. This me who has taken avatar in human form. Means people see Bhagavan Shri Krishna and all that they see is a cowherd or a king, like that. Param bhava majanantaha mama bhuta maheshwaram. They do not recognize my greatness, my glory, my shakti, my power. They don't recognize me as the great Lord of all beings. Who? People who are murdhaha, who are ignorant and deluded. You know what deluded actually means? Simple meaning. Deluded is somebody who has totally upside down thinking. So, someone who would be deluded would be someone who, for example, in this context, someone who completely denies the existence of God. God does not exist. Atheists will fall under this category actually. God does not exist. Inert things came together and made consciousness. This is their philosophy, right? Then, the other type of person says, no, God exists. But they limit the existence and power of God. Like some people say, you'll have people who say, God is only Lord Krishna, right? Or you'll have some people say, God is only formless. You cannot give God a form. That is not real God, right? And then some people say, no, God exists, but He doesn't take avatar. He doesn't come as a normal person to our level. He remains up somewhere. So there's all of these interpretations of what God is. And in that whole effort, they're limiting the power of God. If God is all-powerful, why can He not take a limited power? Who are we to say someone who's all-powerful cannot do something like that? But they say, okay? So they disregard Him in this human form. Then, actually, when we don't understand something, that is when we speak ill about it. Have you seen? If you get a new coworker or a new neighbor, and they have some habit that you've never seen before, if you don't understand it, you misjudge what they're doing until you understand why they're doing what they're doing. Have you experienced that kind of thing before? When we don't understand something, it is easy for us to speak ill of it. And do you know, man, I still don't understand how this happened, but in Mahabharata, in Lord Krishna's time, there was a king called Paundraka. Have you heard of Paundraka? Let me tell you, his father was also called Vasudev. Not the same Vasudev, but different Vasudev. So because his father's name was Vasudev, his name was also Vasudeva. Lord Krishna's name is Vasudeva, and his name is also Vasudeva. So somehow his friends convinced him that he is the real God and Lord Krishna is the fake God. Lord Krishna is trying to be his copycat. He's the doppelganger and he's imitating Lord Krishna, and he's imitating this real Paundraka thinks he's the real God, and that other Vasudeva is the fake one. Long story short, he sends Bhagavan Shri Krishna a message. And he says, hey, you better return that dvaja, that flag with Garuda's sign. You better give me back my Sudarshan Chakra. You thief! Who are you to keep all my things? Give it back to me. Well, Bhagavan gave him the Sudarshan Chakra, but it came right back to him only. How could someone think that they are God and this other person is pretending to be God? I still can't wrap my head around that. But anyways, that shows how anything in this world is possible. People can have all kinds of thoughts about Bhagavan that you just cannot imagine. Right? So, Bhagavan says they cannot understand that their vision is so limited that they cannot fathom the scope of my power, like that Bhagavan is saying. So as a result, they take Bhagavan for granted. In fact, just now, very soon, we're going to reach chapter 11. And when Arjuna realizes who Bhagavan Shri Krishna actually is, he is going to apologize so profusely to Bhagavan Shri Krishna. When that section comes, you will see, if you're listening. Right? But anyways, some lessons for us. The main lesson for us is that we should never ever limit the power of Bhagavan. We should never say Bhagavan cannot do something. Because as soon as we say that, we think we know better than Bhagavan. Right? But we don't. Anyways, there are so many more implications, but we'll leave it right there. Now, another question might be there in someone's mind. Well, what did this person do to become ignorant of God? What did people do to become ignorant of God? Did they eat something specific? That day I went to satsang and they gave me some chana and bara. And after I ate that, I became ignorant of God. We don't do anything to become ignorant of God. So the fact that we're ignorant of God, if we are born with ignorance of God, it is not our fault. Correct or wrong? But the fault comes if we do not do anything to remove the ignorance. So now, and not only remove, we perpetuate that ignorance, thinking that we know better. So now Bhagavan described in the next verse that we chanted how these people live in the world. First word he says is moghasha. They have their expectations and their hopes are all in vain. It is not a problem to have hopes and expectations, but the problem with that is when they're false or unreasonable. For example, I go and put cake batter. I mix flour and baking powder and all different things. And I take that cake batter and I put it in the fridge. And after 45 minutes, I go and I open the fridge and I'm like, but why didn't this thing bake yet? But the fridge is not supposed to bake a cake. No, but I want the fridge to bake a cake. Why is this fridge not baking the cake? False expectation that the fridge... Where will the cake get baked? In the oven. You need heat to bake the cake. But now I go and I expect heat from the fridge. Whose fault is that? My fault? The fridge fault or my fault? My fault. That is called mogha asha. That is called expectation totally in vain. Right? Now that sounds like a funny example, but really that is what we do every single moment of every single day. What is that? We have the false expectation that when I get something in the world, it is going to make me happy. False expectation, it is called. Because objects do not have happiness. We just said the only way you're going to get the permanent happiness that you want is when you get. Okay. Another, we have other fake expectations like, the more I have, the happier I will be. Is that true? Hello. The more we have, the more miserable we become. Right? So, really speaking, we just have these upside down concepts in our mind. We have totally fake expectations from the world. Or, I've heard people say, if the food tastes good, the calories don't count. Right? Or, I will start fresh again tomorrow. People have that dialogue, forget tomorrow. Today's Wednesday, middle of the week, Monday. I'll start fresh Monday. For whatever it is they're talking about. That is false expectation. Because Monday never comes. The other thing is we keep thinking that in the next stage I'm going to be happy. Have you heard? When I get older and I get this, I will be happy. When I get married, I will be happy. Start from before. When I go to high school, I will be happy. When I go to university, I will be happy. When I go to get a job, I will be happy. And that thing goes on and on. Means happiness is going to be in the next thing that I'm going to get. This is what we think. Who is more happy, a child or an adult? Who is more happy? Child is more happy. So this thing works in reverse or what? When I get the next thing, I will be happy. But the happiness is behind. So something is wrong there. Right? False hope that when I get this next thing, I am going to be happy. The other false hope is that something in this world is going to give me peace. Impossible that the world will give us peace. Right? In fact, every single thing shows otherwise. People who've become rich, are they happier? People who have become famous, are they happier? You hear all stories about how they're going through depression and they need psychologists and all kinds of things. Unfortunately, we do not learn from our experiences. And when something doesn't give me the happiness I wanted, what do? I go and look for a next thing with equally false hope. This is called mogha asha. As a result of that, they have mogha karma. Means their actions are in vain. Now this might sound very mean and all, but just listen, right? Just imagine all the karmas that you do in a day, call it 100%. You did 100% of karma to get happiness, true or false? Okay, now of that 100% karma that you did, how much percent happiness did you get? Call a number. Somebody call a number for me. 10? 10 reasonable? Is 10 a reasonable? Is it too high or too low? Everyone's looking at me. I don't know what you're trying to say. Okay, let us say 10 just for mathematical ease, okay? 10% of the actions that I did gave me happiness. Now you please do some math with me. That means that my return on investment of my karma is 1/10. Is that a good business proposition? Anyone will tell you, please don't get in that business. That is terrible. That is called mogha karmana, where I'm doing actions, but they're in vain from the point of view that the result that I actually wanted is not the result that I am getting. Okay? So, what do we get instead? The exact opposite of what we wanted. Stress. For free. Come, I'll give you stress for free when you do any action. In fact, I'll give you bonus on the stress also. But action is supposed to bring peace of mind. When we do actions as Bhagavan described in the first 6 chapters, the result of doing our action properly is that at the end of the day we feel peace. If we don't feel that, then our action is what Bhagavan is calling mogha karmana. And we fool ourselves thinking that when we do action, we're making progress. But movement is no sign of progress. Hear this. There was one person who was a fisherman. So he decided, well, tomorrow I am going to go and be the first person out on the water, and I'm going to finish fishing before everybody, and I'm going to get the best fish. So he actually wakes up early in the morning, and he takes his net, and he goes, and he sits in his boat, and then he starts to row. And he's rowing and rowing, and it's dark, and he's rowing and rowing, and he's lost in his own world. Then suddenly, he starts to hear noise. And he looks and he sees that the rest of the fishermen have come. And he turns, and somehow he is still in the exact same place where he started. How come? He forgot to take out the anchor. So he's rowing there for 1 hour in the dark, and he hasn't moved a centimeter. Movement is no sign of progress. Us doing actions and going and getting things, and Bhagavan is saying, well, if it is not giving you what you want, it is all action in vain. Then, mogha jnana. Mogha jnana means knowledge also that they have is in vain. All the knowledge that we have gotten from the time that we were like 3 or 4 years old, and they forced us to go to school, and they forced us to stop playing, and they forced us to sit there and write A is for apple, B is for ball, and they forced us to study A squared plus B squared equals C squared, and they forced us to study 2x plus x squared plus 5 equals quadratic equation. They forced us to study all of those things. And after all of that studying, are your relationships in your life better? Are you a nicer person? Is society better as a result of your existence? In fact, it might be the opposite, isn't it? So, all of that knowledge, and what did it actually give us? Did it give us more peace? Did it give us more happiness? Did it give us better citizens of this world? No. So Bhagavan is saying, well, the point is, what is the use then of all of that knowledge? It is in vain. Because real knowledge is supposed to liberate us. It is supposed to make us free from any feeling of bondage, any feeling of lack of freedom. That is real freedom, Bhagavan. That is real knowledge, Bhagavan is saying. Then he describes them as vichetasaha, thoughtless. Means either they don't think or they think very little. I don't know. See, I've been to so many countries in the past few years. I lost track of where the phrases are coming from now. Right? Is your upstairs empty or what? Is that a phrase that is used here? Okay. Is your upstairs empty or what? In Ghana, Panditji was mentioning, I grew up in Ghana. The word that they use to describe your head, like if a child is walking and they're going to bang their head, they're like, what's your coconut? Our head is called a coconut in Ghana, right? If they say your coconut, they mean your head. Okay? Now, I think it is an apt word because a coconut is actually empty inside. You know the hard one? And even if it has water, nobody wants it also. Useless only, isn't it? You make a hole and you drain that thing and you just take the... Anyways. Vichetasaha. Thoughtless, or very little, or wrong thinking. And he says, Rakshasi masurim chaiva prakritim mohinim ashritaha. They have Rakshasi and Asuri disposition. Now, I'm not going to translate the word Rakshasi and Asuri because there's no translation actually for these words. Then you'll start to imagine, some people with big mustache and maybe ha ha ha, evil laugh, and all kinds of I don't know if you all watched Ramayana and Mahabharata and all those series. You can imagine, or Ram Leela time, the people who dress like the people from Lanka. You start to imagine that when you hear the word Rakshasa and Asura. But please, Bhagavan is describing these things that we just experienced is what he's calling Rakshasi and Asuri Bhava. Right? Means Rakshasi Bhav is wickedness. That people who want to cause trouble and harm and pain to other people, they exist in this world or not? Very much. Asuri Bhav is people who are overindulgent and materialistic. If you think about it, that's dangerous, because now some of us have to start imagining ourselves with those faces. But anyways, their philosophy is that there's nothing beyond this body. So when you die, everything is over. It's called YOLO. Y'all know YOLO? You only live once. Therefore, eat, drink, be merry, do whatever you want, beg, borrow, steal, anything, it doesn't matter. Because when you die, everything's over. Right? Hear their philosophy. One of them said, look. Papa is that which brings sorrow. And punya is that which brings happiness. Correct or wrong? Correct. Papa is that which brings and protects sorrow in our life. And punya is that which brings happiness. Now he said, okay, if you go and you borrow money from somebody and you use that money, does that give you sorrow or happiness? Sorrow or happiness to have more money? Sorrow to have more money? Happiness. This is their logic, You please follow me. He says, okay, now when it is time to return the money you borrowed, does that make you happy or make you sad? Oh, the money is gone, now you're sad. So therefore, borrowing money is punya and returning money is papa. Hear their logic. This is called warped, kind of crazy thinking, right? They make you also mad. You're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, this is who they are, and they're completely deluded. Do you know why this happens to us, actually? It happens to us because we let the world think for us. I don't know if you all heard. True story, either Netflix or YouTube, one of the two. They had a board meeting to discuss how to get more viewer time. Their whole thing is how much time people watch. And while they were discussing, say it was Netflix, they were saying, oh, YouTube is our competition, this, that. Sleep is also our competition. How can we make people sleep less so they watch more? No, I'm not joking. This is a true thing, So this is the world that we are listening to. Which company has your interest? Then you go and you buy snacks down the road. They have put so much MSG in there that they want you to come back and buy that thing and make yourself sick. They're not thinking about us. Who are they thinking about? Themselves. And who is it that is where do we get our information and make our decisions? Marketing. Who's marketing? Those companies that don't have our interest in mind. Right? So the solution, actually Panditji was talking so nicely right in the beginning about satsang. The solution is satsang. Because in satsang, we are forced to think in a way that is beneficial to us with no selfish interest in mind. It's like, satsang is like opening a mirror to our own personality where we have to admit the things that are wrong with ourselves. So yeah. Anyways, this thing continues in chapter 16. Bhagavan Shri Krishna has just mentioned the word Rakshasi, Masuri, Prakriti, but he's going to spend a whole chapter talking about these people. So we will leave it for them. Now, he juxtaposes the other type. So those were people who don't believe in him or don't want to come to know him, they like that. And now he talks about the other kind. So let us chant and then we'll see. By the way, I don't think you all were chanting loud enough. Because I could only hear Panditji. Okay. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Mahatmanastu Mampartha Devim Prakritimashitaha. Now he talks about the Mahatmas who have Devi Prakriti. Means those people who are endowed with divine wealth as opposed to the Asuri and Rakshasi wealth that he just talked about. They take recourse to divine qualities, they live a dharmic life, and they learn from life, right? These kinds of people, they're called Mahatmas. Mahatmas meaning noble-hearted people, large-hearted people, people who don't think narrow-mindedly, these are my people and I only care about these people. They think large-heartedly about everybody. What do? Bhajanti ananya manasaha. They worship me with a single-pointed mind. This is when we study the qualities of Mahatmas, or when we reflect on the qualities that these great people have, what it is supposed to do is it is supposed to indicate to us the types of things that we can also practice. It's called, there's a phrase in Sanskrit that says, Siddhakasya, what's it called? Siddhakasya lakshanani sadhakasya sadhanani. The qualities of a realized person become the practices for a person who is striving on the path, right? So they worship Bhagavan with a single-pointed mind, meaning they have unswerving devotion for Bhagavan. So at the highest level, they may be able to see Bhagavan as their very own self, and that is why they understand that he's no different from them. That is one, right? Then the other type means the other way you could see it is they want nothing from Bhagavan. They want nothing apart from Bhagavan. These are called the Jnanis. The Jnanis are Jnani Bhaktas are those devotees who worship Bhagavan not wanting anything from him. Bhagavan Shri Krishna in chapter 7 had described 4 types of devotees. People who come to him and say, Bhagavan, please remove this pain of mine, please remove this fear of mine, number 1. Then different people, please help me to win the lottery, please help me to let my business succeed, Artharthi, the next type of people. Then they come and they pray for knowledge, the next set of people, right? But the Jnani goes to Bhagavan not asking for anything, just helplessly to express his love. Now you tell me, if you have a nephew or even a friend who comes to you only to ask you for things, and then you have another one who comes to you just because they want to spend time with you, who do you prefer to spend time with? Well, you try and find reasons why you shouldn't need to meet the person who's always coming to ask you something. The moment you see them, you know, I wonder what they're coming to ask for this time. Their face, the only reason you'll see their face is if they want something from you. Right? Well, who do you prefer to be with? Someone who wants to be with you for you, or someone who wants something from you? The Jnani, that is why Bhagavan loves the Jnani the most, Look, if in this world you find out someone wants something wants to be with somebody for some other reason, they have names for that. If somebody marries another person for their money, they're called a what? Gold digger. Have you heard? There's a word for that. When you go to someone because you want something else. When you go to Bhagavan and you ask him for money. I'm not going to finish that sentence. Anyways, when we're able to make our mind single-pointed and focus it on Bhagavan, that means that the world is not... We have lost conviction that the world is going to give me happiness. Means I've realized that these things, like, these flowers here, this mala here, when you touch it, you'll know, even though it looks like it could be real from far, they make things so nice. When you touch it, you realize, okay, this is not real. Now, I could sit here and have an expectation that this thing should smell nice. And I will be here my whole life wishing that this thing will smell nice. But it can't smell nice because it doesn't have the capacity to give a nice smell because it is not real. What it can give is beauty, but it cannot give smell. So I appreciate it and I use it for what it is, but I don't expect from it what it cannot give. In the exact same way, I interact with the world, but I don't expect the world anymore to give me peace, to give me happiness, to give me contentment. Because I know that is going to come from Bhagavan. You see? Okay. Then he says, Nyatva bhutadim avyayam. And they know that I am the origin of this entire manifestation. Means they know that Bhagavan is the source of all beings. And when we get this understanding, well, then our life becomes transformed. So he further describes some of the things that they do. Satatam kirtayantoma, constantly singing my glories, these people. Right? Kirtayanto means they're constantly singing the praise of Bhagavan. Actually, when we sing, this is what we're supposed to be doing, praising Bhagavan. But you all, everybody knows, when some people take the mic to sing in the mandir, it is not to praise Bhagavan. It is for what? It is to look around and see who thought that bhajan was nice. But Kirtan is supposed to be praising Bhagavan, not praising yourself, right? So that is praising, right? Then the other thing is, it's not just about singing. Kirtan is not just singing, it's glorifying. So now when somebody goes out into the world and they see how intelligent and how divine this entire universe is, like for example, you take a tiny little tulsi seed and you put it in a pot with a big mango seed, right? The two of them next to each other. The tulsi seed will take the same soil and become a beautiful tulsi plant. And that mango seed will take the same soil and become a mango tree. Okay, so then you even see, there's a little thing that I can put into the ground, and it can turn soil, which I can't eat, with the energy of the sun, which I can't absorb, into something like a tomato that I can eat. Is that not amazing? I mean, the more you start to think about the world and how amazing the world is, the more you realize actually just my living in this world is glorification of Bhagavan. Because wherever I see something amazing, I think, wow, Bhagavan, what wonder, what power you have. That itself is kirtayantaha. They're singing Bhagavan's glory constantly by seeing the beauty that is there in Bhagavan. When somebody comes and yells at them, wow, Bhagavan, you make people yell like this nicely too? There's nothing that can happen in their life that will make them forget the glory of Bhagavan. You see? This is singing the glories. Then yatantaha. They strive. Striving meaning, in Trinidad when we were studying, one of the uncles, he had a phrase. You can't just walk the talk. You can't just talk the walk. You have to walk the talk. I think I got it right now. Means you have to do something. You can't just sit there and think, oh yeah, this sounds so nice. You have to act on it. How? Bhagavan says, dridha vrataha. We have to remain firm in our resolve. And this actually, I don't know how many times our Swami Prakashananda would have said that this is the most important word for a spiritual seeker. Dridha vrataha means people who take firm resolutions. There's a difference between a resolution and a firm resolution. A resolution is what we take on New Year's Day. On 31st night, we sit there and we say, you know what, from tomorrow, I am going to change my life. I am going to do one japa mala every single day. Then everybody stays up late on the 31st because, they wait for 12 o'clock and they wish and they party and then they go to sleep and they think, you know what, tomorrow. Day one only, they've given up on that thing. Right? But Bhagavan says, dridha vrataha means they will not give up on that thing. Actually, if you watch anyone here watch Harry Potter or read the book? Well, you will learn about this from Harry Potter. There's something called the unbreakable vow. You make a vow with somebody that you cannot break, and if you break it, you're going to die. That is the kind of vow we're supposed to make with Bhagavan. Bhagavan, I am going to do this or I'm going to die. Right? No matter what happens, I am not going to give up on this vow that I have made. So vows can include anything from what we eat, to when we sleep, to how we talk, to where we spend our time, to how much screen time we have, to how much time we spend in satsang. Vows can be anything, right? But I'll tell you how vows work. We have an intellect and we have a mind. And right now our intellect is supposed to be the one that is guiding our life. The intellect is supposed to be the driver of the car. And the mind is sitting in the back seat. The mind is the tires of the car in this analogy. Right? So the driver is supposed to decide where that car is supposed to go. But right now, the mind is saying, you know what, forget your steering wheel, I'm going to go where I want. And it will go to anything that it likes. This is our current state. When we take a vow, what happens is the intellect gets strength and it reclaims its strength over the mind, which it had lost doing whatever it wanted. So we take vows like that. And the stronger the vow, the stronger our evolution. Okay? And we're supposed to take vows and fulfill them until they stop feeling like a vow. Have you seen, like when a child is young, how much effort it takes for them to brush their teeth? Oh God, the parents fed up telling the child, go and brush your teeth, go and brush your teeth, go and brush your teeth. So that child finally is like, I brushed my teeth myself today. And that parent is like, finally, And then a few days the child does that and they say, I brushed my teeth today myself. I brushed my teeth without you telling me. If that child is 15 years old and they come to you and they're like, Mom, I brushed my teeth myself without you telling me. Well, something is wrong there. It was a great thing when they were 2 years old. But when they're 15 years old, that is not, you're supposed to have mastered it. In the same way, we take up vows and we go through the feeling of them being difficult. And when they become easy, we keep them going and we take up something else. So now, challenge for every single person here to take up a vow. And if you say, I will start tomorrow, well, you're never going to start. So you have to take up a vow and say, I have started that vow. Means even if it is something for the morning, it is something you have started. It's not something you're going to start. So you choose some vow of something that you want to work on in your life. And you look at Bhagavan and you say, Bhagavan, I'm going to take up this vow because this vow is going to take me closer to the happiness and peace that I am looking for. That is why I take the vow. Right? Okay. Then he says namasyantaha, doing namaskar to Bhagavan. Because Siya Ramamaya Savajagajani, he sees Bhagavan in this whole universe. What else will he do except namaskar to Bhagavan? And they worship ever steadfast to Bhagavan with devotion. You know what ever steadfast means? Have you seen somebody taking part in something competitive? Like competitive sports or competitive dance, say. Well, that person's entire personality is behind this dance performance that they have to do in 5 years. Have you seen? They have nutritionists that decide what they will eat. They have time to eat, what they will eat, how much they will eat. Then they have people taking care of their mind. They have psychologists to help them through their journey and everything. Then they have, they're constantly watching videos and learning techniques to get better, and their whole life is just one focus. Every single thing connected to their life is thinking about that goal, right? This is what happens when we become ever steadfast. Everything that we do, we check. Is this going to take me closer to Bhagavan? Is this going to take me closer to happiness? Is this going to bring me more peace? Is this going to make my mind more agitated? Like that. Every single thing we do in our life, we check. Why? Because what I want is peace and happiness, and how I'm going to get it is by seeing the world for what it really is. Right? Okay, then he continues and he says, now people worship Bhagavan in so many ways, and he lists a few of them additional in the next verse which we chanted. Anye yajantaha mam upasate. Other people, they strive and they worship me in these ways. 1. Jnana Yajna. By Jnana Yajna. I know Yajna is a very common thing everyone knows. Yajna means havan usually, right? Yajna means sacrifice. Jnana Yajna is the sacrifice of knowledge. What does Jnana Yajna really mean? It means I have kindled the fire of knowledge in my mind, and in that fire of knowledge, I am now sacrificing my ignorance. I am giving up my ignorance in the fire of knowledge. Means all my wrong thinking, my upside down thinking, my convictions about where happiness really is, and all of that, right? And when we give up our ignorance, the knowledge shines like forth by itself, Now, that means 2 things. 1, Jnana Yajna, which is what we are doing right now. It is not for showing off knowledge. If I came here to show you guys how much Bhagavad Gita I knew, well, I lost the point of what I am doing, right? It is not about trying to enlighten people either. It is a worship of Bhagavan. Jnana Yajna, whether we are listening or we are talking, is a worship of Bhagavan. That also means this itself is worship of Bhagavan. Means if someone came and sat in satsang and listened to satsang, but they didn't go and make an offering, it doesn't mean that they didn't do worship that day. This itself is a worship, is what Bhagavan is saying. How wonderful, isn't it? And I tell you, this kind of thing is what appeals to the next generation so much. But what they hear, what? You don't want to come to Mandir? You don't want to do Havan? What kind of Hindu are you? And people think if they don't enjoy that, it means they're not a Hindu. But there's so many different aspects of our Hinduism that they could be part of. Like this being one, they love to think. So, anyways, side note. Then they have different visions of Bhagavan. Their vision is, some have a vision of oneness, ekatvena. Means, our Guruji, Swami Tejomayananda, Pandit Ian knows him. Right? Guruji, one day, he told a story about how one day he went to somebody's house for tea. And he's sitting there, and then the auntie goes into the kitchen to make the tea, and he's sitting with the uncle, and they're talking. Then suddenly, she screams from the kitchen, "Oh, but the sugar is finished!" She screams from the kitchen, but the sugar is finished. So this man says, "That's okay, put the cat in the tea." So now Guruji says how he was like, "Oh my God, cat in the tea? What?" So he says how, that first the auntie brings the tea and she puts it down, and now one has come in front of him. Now he has to drink this thing. But there's a cat, what cat in the tea? So he's waiting, and then he watches the other person sitting in front of him drink their tea. And he realizes they're still alive and nothing happened to them. And he's like, okay, let me try this now. And he tastes it, and it tastes normal. It tastes like it has sugar also. So he's like, what exactly did you mean when you said put the cat in the tea? He said, no, actually what happened, yesterday we went to a shop, a fancy shop. And in that shop, they had all kinds of dog and cat and cockroach and rabbit and all kinds of things made from sugar. Every single thing in that shop was made from sugar. So we bought some of those things. So I told her to put the cat means to put the sugar cat in the tea. And then Guruji was like, oh, okay. Every single thing, whether you call it a cat or a dog or a lizard or a goat or whatever, is made from sugar. There's nothing over there that is not sugar. A person who has a vision of oneness sees that there's nothing in this universe except for Bhagavan. So everything that they look at is Bhagavan. Everything they touch is Bhagavan. That means, see the implication, that means that, the respect with which we come and do pranams to murtis, and then the respect with which we decorate and take care and all of those things. You all know the respect we give when we come and meet a murti, correct? Meet a murti, for lack of a better word. How we treat that murti, the bhava and respect with which we treat the murti, will be the bhava or the feeling with which we interact with this entire universe. When you see a murti, you're not thinking, this murti is not a marble murti, the face looks weird. That's not what we look at when we see the murti. We look at the murti as Bhagavan, irrespective of what it is. In the same way, the amount of appreciation and compassion that we develop for this universe, when we start to see that everything is Bhagavan, all of our actions then become worship of Bhagavan. Then Bhagavan says also Pratatvena, means people also have vision of him in different forms. People can worship him as Bhagavan Shri Krishna, as Bhagavan Rama, as anybody, as Devi Ma, as Saraswati Ma, as Lakshmi Ma. Worship whoever you want, right? Or Vishwatomukam, or with his Virat Roop, which we will see in chapter 11, right? Means he is saying, look, you worship in whichever way you want. Means Bhagavan accepts all forms of worship. But we are the ones who say this one is more superior, this one is inferior. Bhagavan doesn't have that problem. So you don't mind anybody. And you worship Bhagavan the way you want to worship your Bhagavan. He's your Bhagavan. Right? And as we evolve, our understanding of Bhagavan will also evolve. Now, these are the people we're supposed to imitate/emulate. We're supposed to follow these qualities that they have. Now, if there is a star boy in the village, and you go and imitate that star or star girl, what they wear, how they dress, how they talk, you will be called a copycat, correct or wrong? Copycat. Well, let me tell you, if you come and you copy these people and all the things that they do, I promise you will not be called a copycat. You will become the Mahatma that Bhagavan is describing. So copy them all you want. These are the people we should be copying, you know? Okay. Now, Bhagavan switches to describe his all-pervasiveness, to help us to see how he is everywhere in this universe. So let us, and he starts with sacred things. Right, so let us chant this next verse and then we'll see. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Aham Gatoraham Yajnam Sadaham Mahamaushadam. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Mantoham Mahamevajam, Aham Astiraham Hudam. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Right. Okay. Bhagavan now addresses all the sacred things in our life and talks about how he is all of them. In the Vedic times, and actually here in Guyana, very much here in Guyana, Havan is one of the things that is done to worship Bhagavan. Correct? We do Havan as a form of worship of Bhagavan. So now Bhagavan is saying, you are doing Havan to worship me. But let me show you how doing Havan is not just worship of me. Actually, every single part of the Havan is me itself. So expand your vision now of this thing called Havan, this yajna. He says, Aham kratuhu, aham yajna. I am the different classes and types of yajna. Means all the rituals that are there in the yajna, which we use to worship Bhagavan. He's saying those rituals that you think are things that you use to worship me, those rituals are me itself. That ritual itself is me. Then, svada aham. I am the offering that is given to our ancestors, our forefathers, you know. Anything that you offer in the Havan, and you say svadha, that thing goes to our pitris. Right? He says, I am that offering also. Then, aham aushadam. All the herbs that are used in the Havan, he says, or all the food that is offered, he says, that is me myself. He says, mantra aham. I am the mantra. All the mantras that you chant, those mantras itself are me. Aham eva ajyam. I am the ghee that is poured into the Havan. Aham agnihi. I am the fire into which everything is poured. And aham hutam. I am also the action of offering. I am everything offered. So, Bhagavan is trying to take us now from seeing what we use to worship him and seeing every element of that thing as not just used to worship him, but actually him itself. So, there's many implications in this, right? That means that the next time you sit for Havan, Your mind, when it is on the Agni, is not, well, I'm going to do this and then Bhagavan will get it. This Agni itself is Bhagavan. Every single thing that I touch, I interact with, I say, I think, I do, I'm interacting with Bhagavan this whole time. Isn't that such an amazing thing? I mean, for someone to actually internalize that vision is really, really amazing. So the next time you do Havan, you just try and think, these mantras that I'm chanting is Bhagavan itself. This Agni is Bhagavan. This thing that I'm holding to offer is Bhagavan. Okay. Now let me tell you something really interesting. One of the word used for the food and the herbs and all is Aushadam. Aushadam, the same word, Aushadam means food and it means medicine. Because in our tradition, food is medicine. This is not some new thing that somebody came up with and posted on Google. This is some ancient understanding of what food is. I was thinking, our Shastras, they don't have copyright. Everyone can take whatever they want and use it however they want. If our Shastras had copyright, you have to pay to copy something, our Rishis would be like gazillionaires because everybody takes everything from the Shastras only. But anyways, food is medicine. That's why they have the same word. An interesting thing, when we don't eat food as medicine, then we have to start eating medicine as food. Means what? Have you seen people with their pill box? And they have like 5 medicines for the morning, and then like 4 for the afternoon, and another 10 for the night? Is that not eating medicine as food? Some people are like, I get full just taking my medicine. If we don't treat food as medicine, then we will have to start treating our medicine as food. Such a simple thought, eh? It means we shouldn't take food for granted. The food is Bhagavan himself. Anyways, Bhagavan is talking in this section about how he is everything conceivable and he is also everything inconceivable. And so this thought will continue for a few more verses, and then he is going to tell the most amazing secret of devotion, also coming up soon. So that we will see tomorrow. We will be at Wim Waterside. Is that far from here? Please, if you want to come, it's not far. You can get directions from our Pandit Ian, and he'll tell you how to get there. Okay, but we will see that tomorrow at 7 p.m. at Wim Waterside. Thank you very much, Panditji. We're thanking him every night. That is so wonderful. Thank you so much, Panditji. Thank you to Indrawati ji also for organizing. Since months this organizing is going on, so that this sankalpa that Chinmay Mission Guyana has taken can be fulfilled. We're doing 108 nights of Bhagavad Gita satsang in 108 mandirs across Guyana. And tonight is night 53. So if you're good at math, then you will know that tomorrow is the halfway point. I can't believe it. And maybe I should tell this tomorrow. I'll tell it tomorrow, never mind. You have to listen for tomorrow to hear what I'm going to say. Okay, I'll just share a couple of announcements and then I'll pass it. And then we'll do Aarti and then I'll pass it back. Announcement number 1. The final night of this 108 night Bhagavad Gita Yajna will be happening on May 3rd at the Gandhi Youth Cricket Ground in Georgetown. And it's a momentous occasion, to study the whole Bhagavad Gita in 108 mandirs in 108 days. So we welcome all of you to please join us for this grand finale. We will be celebrating together, and it will be so wonderful to have representation from each mandir. So if a few of you could get together and come and get some transportation and come to Georgetown, and we can all celebrate together. I think it will be so nice. Then this announcement we're doing every night. If anybody wants to study this knowledge systematically, properly, they want to understand Sanatana Dharma in its pristine form, not in a watered down little bit here, a little bit there. Chinmay Mission offers a 2-year Vedanta course. And this course is a strict but life-transforming course. Classes start at 5:30 in the morning and they go till 8 or later, depending on 8 p.m. or later, depending on if satsang is going on anywhere and how far it is. Meditation, Vedic chanting, Sanskrit, Ramayana, Bhagavatam, Vedanta, meaning all the major Upanishads, and all the introductory texts by Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, all Bhagavad Gita, all of these things are studied in an intense way, such that you get like 15 years of university content in 2 years, because there's no holidays, no weekends, nothing. And it sounds intense, but it is the most wonderful 2 years a person can spend if this is something that is of their interest. The person has to be under 30, they have to have a university degree of any kind, and they have to be unmarried. Right? These are the 3 qualifications. If they apply and they get in, then it will be a scholarship program, so it'll all be taken care of. It starts on October 2nd in Trinidad. They don't need to go all the way to India to do this course anymore. Swami Prakashanandaji will be teaching right here in Trinidad. If you know anybody, please do tell them, because there are so many people who are interested in this thing and they just don't know this kind of thing exists. So please do pass the word, even if it is not something that is what you would do. Okay? Alright, so thank you all very much. Again, sorry Swamiji couldn't be here. I wish he was here also. What to do? Okay, we'll have Aarti now and then. I'll chant Bhagavad Gita Aarti. Everyone please stand. Someone can do it.
Hey
बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। श्री सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। हर हर नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव।